Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Kickpoint Playbook webinar. I'm Dana DiTomaso, founder and lead instructor here at Kickpoint Playbook. And today I am joined by Andy Crestodina, co-founder and chief marketing officer of Orbit Media, an all-around super smart person. If you aren't already following Andy on LinkedIn, do that. You will not regret it. His content is fantastic. And today, Andy's going to be talking to us about everyone's favorite subject, AI, and how to use AI tools to gain insights from GA4 and other analytics tools. Please make sure to ask questions in the chat. We'll definitely have time to cover those at the end. And if you have to drop out early, we'll be emailing everyone who's registered a recording of today's session, plus a resource you can use for your own AI prompts after this. Now, let's bring in Andy. Welcome. Thanks
Thank
so
you
much for
for
joining
having me.
us.
It's great to be
Yeah,
here. How could I say no, Dana? I'm an automatic yes for any invite from you.
I will keep that in mind. All right, so what do you got?
AI is famous for generating language. People use it to write blog posts. People use it to brainstorm topics. Uh, I think that AI is really not that useful until you give it something, until you train it, until you set context. I do that a lot by just starting with a persona, but here I'm going to use it by uploading first data because I think it's a fantastic kind of little data scientist assistant and it can find insights quickly. My idea was to go through some of the AI methods for marketing data analysis.
All right,
Let's do it.
share what you've
Okay.
got.
I am going to share my screen. Now, uh, I have permission from Dana to go relatively quickly through some of these methods. Can you see that? Look good?
Yep, we're good.
Yeah. So there's more here than probably I'll be able to cover, but I'm just going to move at a decent pace and get through as much as I can. And if nothing else, in a few minutes, hopefully you just have the general idea of the kinds of things that you can export, upload, and talk to. Basically, it's like how to talk to your data. But big picture in the general context here, my general thesis in life is that uh, reporting is not that useful in marketing. Reports themselves don't affect outcomes. The best GA4 users are good at not just reports, but analysis. AI, yeah, anybody can use AI to brainstorm topics and just suggest 10 article ideas or whatever. But the best AI users go one step farther and use it for actual impact, like to suggest the changes or to create the draft and to go a little bit farther with it. So I want to suggest here by the end of this hour, hopefully all of us are leveled up at least a little bit, both in terms of GA and AI. But that's my hope. Caution, cautionary tale, of course. Danny will appreciate this. Before you start uploading data, let's be responsible and check our legal agreements, check our internal policies. And one of the top concerns about uploading data is that you're going to be training ChatGPT 5. Everything I'll do today is in ChatGPT, OpenAI's ChatGPT. There's a version of it that you can buy that it claims to not be training the next version. But I'm just cautious in general. I'm not going to upload anything that isn't mine or that I don't have permission to use. And I've never, under any circumstances, would I upload anything that was like PII, personally identifiable information. So enough said about that. You're going to see me export and import a whole bunch of stuff into AI. And I do that with full knowledge that there's some squeamishness about that. And that's perfectly understandable. SEO method number one, or I should say, I'm sorry, AI method number one. I'm going to export some articles, headlines or title tags from GA4, and then put that into AI and see what it suggests. I have these as screenshots. You can go back and watch this and we'll share the deck, but these screenshots are marked up so you can see. I'm not going to do it live. It's probably faster for me just to show the screenshots. I'm just on the pages and screens report. I set the primary dimension to page title. I created a filter to only show blog posts, which is easy because all my blog posts are in a common directory /blog. And there it is. Step 2, export. That's it. But what I did when I do this is that I'm getting basically all the title tags of all my articles is what I'm looking for if I wanted to help me brainstorm some new ideas. So anything that you export, I have a new perspective on all my tools, by the way. It's like, how clean is this data? How structured is this data? And some of it is not. GA4, unfortunately, it needs a little help. Don't just upload that until you crack it open and delete these first 9 rows. It's going to joke on those. It's going to talk about them. Going to get confused by them. Those are comments. Just take them out. Also, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff on this list that's like foreign language versions of your title tags. Title tags get rewritten depending on the person's browser settings, or title tags for articles that have like weird artifacty stuff and things that just have, one page view. Depending on your date range, there might be thousands of rows of garbage. just clean that out a little bit. We don't need all that for this data. We're only looking for sufficient information to get some analysis. If you don't do that first, you're going to watch it do this. I apologize for the oversight. I'm trying again. Let's try. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to try a new method. That's what AI looks when it's struggling with data. So as soon as you upload it, you can just start prompting it to clean up the data. Things like remove campaigns with fewer than 50 users, or remove Orbit Media Studios from the end of all these title tags. It's my brand, and the title tags automatically. Remove all non-English language or non-first language. Merge repetitive rows. You get the idea. Now, as we give it to it, we're going to say, you're a marketing data analyst, expert at using analytics to inform decisions about content strategy. I'm reading the prompt. I'm giving you a GA4 report showing the performance of content on a blog. This report shows the title tags, shows the performance of each article. Infer topics. Here come my verbs. Infer topics from the titles of the articles. Ignore the brand name. Ignore all non-English title tags, cleaning up a bit further. Identify gaps in this content strategy using semantic distance analysis. Suggest topics that would likely have high traffic and high engagement. It's lovely because it actually can see the performance of each article and infer based on the topics from title tags. It comes back. Can it analyze the data? It sure does. Can it do cosine similarity matrices? Yes, it can. I don't even know what that means. Data knows what that means. I don't know what
Well,
that.
do I know what that means? The other thing too that I really like about this prompt as well is that you set the stage in terms of telling the AI, this is your job. And I found personally as well that asking those kinds of prompts are really helpful, like telling the AI, this is the hat I want you to put on when you're doing this analysis. And I find that I get slightly better responses when I do that, setting the stage for the AI instead of not.
Mhm.
And actually, we have a quick question from Andy, if you don't mind me popping in with a
Please.
question, because he
Sure,
asked a
sure.
really interesting question right at the beginning. He wants to know if AI hallucinates less when you provide your own data until your prompts start to veer away from the data you're referencing.
I'm 18 months into the sport
Mhm,
of AI, and I have yet to see like an actual hallucination. I've seen inaccuracies, but I don't know that I would consider them hallucinations.
mhm.
If you watch really where I'm going with this, it doesn't, it becomes, I think, a non-issue, I hope, because I'm not really querying it for factual anything. I'm looking for clues. It's at my same perspective with just using GA more broadly. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
just looking for clues. If my goal here is to get feedback on my content strategy, I think I can do that without really lots of concerns about bias, accuracy, hallucination, and such. But no, I think I'm sure it's. I joke sometimes AI should stand for just assuming correct. Not going to be correct. Doesn't need to be that correct though for this use case. That's my thesis.
Correct-ish.
Yeah, it's correct-ish. But good question. You'd have to test and watch and verify. Always verify. Don't trust AI. Okay. So it's going to come back. It's proceeding. It's identifying underrepresented topics, which are pretty interesting. It's suggesting content gaps, which to me look pretty good. And then you can see down here, it's getting into some less common topics. And then now it has my content, it has my elbow, we call it the LBOW, your lifetime body of work. It has my lifetime body of work. And now I can talk to it about my elbow or ask what's missing, suggest 10 article headlines that would fill the gaps, indicate which articles would have high traffic, which would have high engagement. These are absolutely things that I have not written but could write. These are almost certainly things that would have high traffic or high engagement. These ones that identified as being high traffic potential, it has the traffic for every title tag. These are the ones with high engagement potential. It has the engagement rates for every title tag. So what did I do? Exported titles from my blog with the GA4 data, uploaded it, asked it for ideas. Probably way better than just saying, suggest me 10 topics with the blah, blah, blah. It's just lazy prompting is the problem with AI. It's 10x efforts that get 100x results across the board, including within AI. That was that idea. I'm going to keep going and jump into the next one, which is topic channel fit. I'm obsessed with this, right? Some topics work better in some channels. Some topics will fail in certain channels, right? Search versus social. Ask me later. It's like super interesting topic. It's a content strategist skill, by the way, to look at a headline and say that's going to work in social or that's going to work in search. There are ways to do this and train yourself to know, like, does that meet expectations or is that unexpected, right? Search versus social. Visitors from search are busy. Visitors from social are bored, right? So there is such a thing absolutely as topic channel
That
fit.
is such a great insight for sure. I'm gonna keep that in mind. I love how you
Mhm.
said that.
Yeah, I've got a little infographic somewhere that shows like that. The differences. Business models also align well with search or social. There's certain things we could get into it. I digress.
Yeah.
Pages and screens. Here's a bunch of my URLs. I'm going to customize this. Order of operations in GA4, click the pencil first and make sure you got the metrics you like. You can see every slide in my that I've ever made is incorrect now because conversions was renamed the other day. Or I'm not going to get triggered by that. That's a little bit upsetting to me. I have to update 1 million things. I know you already did it, Data, didn't you?
There's
You
still more. There's always more,
you
but
are so
yes, it
fast.
is deeply
Your
annoying.
content,
Mhm.
yeah, you're so on top of it. I'm so impressed with your approach to courses. Okay, so these are the metrics that relate to content performance. I'm setting my page title again as the primary dimension, and now I'm setting the secondary dimension to be source medium. And I just want to see my blog post. Let's filter again just to see blogs. I'm going to export that file. I'm going to delete those first 9 rows. I'm going to upload that file. I'm giving you GA4 data. Can you analyze? And sometimes I think it's easy to overwhelm the AI, and it's helpful sometimes to just do everything in intermediate steps. I've tried to write the magic spell book prompt that does everything in one step. I don't think it's that. It's harder to get a good response that way. I think it's better to just feed it and have a conversation. It's called Chat GPT because we're supposed to be having a conversation with it. Can you analyze? Yes, it can analyze. Now, role, skills. You're a role, digital marketing analyst, skills, expert at data-driven recommendations, articles on which topics perform better in search, which perform better in social. It comes back, did a pretty good job. Suggest 10 articles not in this data set. And then here's content strategy advice. These are good for search. These are good for social. It's actually, even if half of it's useless, the other half, pretty good ideas, right? My advice is always to never create a piece of content without a plan to promote it. Here's your promotion plan, or at least it's a fit between the topic and the channel. Really what I'd like to do is to create some kind of prompts that have a topic format channel fit because certain formats are better, also better for certain topics. Certain formats are better for certain channels, right? Visual, short form video, of course, is like a social format. Moving on. Suggest what are the titles of these articles with the greatest engagement have in common? Suggest 10 topics that share the traits of the most engaging topics in this data set. It actually analyzed all of those headers or title tags and comes back with a bunch of ideas based on those traits. Here are 10 topic suggestions. No doubt, right? These are actually quite good. Those are recommendations based on what the best performers had in common. To go one step farther, which of these, you can tell I did the screenshot a few months ago. This was late last year. Which of these topics was most likely to perform based on those success traits? Damn, I almost wrote that article so many times. I've never written that article. It found a gap that I could easily fill. The My brain starts thinking of all the internal linking opportunities. If I made this thing, it would be part of a super connected hub because I've written so many adjacent articles to it. I do not use AI to write, but your next prompt, if you so choose, is quite simple. Write an outline for that article. Now I'm giving it some parameters. The outline should work well for a draft that has a certain number of words, a bullet list, research, supportive data, visuals, internal linking, contributor quotes from experts, make it scannable, highly formatted, keyword focused subheads, short paragraphs. These are some of my best prompts, by the way. It's like a little blog post. The prompt, it gives the AI my success criteria, my standards for quality. Uh, some of my prompts I could share, like they look super detailed, but it's like me summarizing everything I've learned over, I don't know, 24 years in digital, right? I have to train it. I'm teaching it. I don't do, in hindsight, like the early things that I did a year ago, they were like all long shot prompts. I think of those as long shot prompts. Maybe 10 topics. Of course, that's not going to work. There's no, we still don't live in a world where you can like type 11 words and it does your job, which is probably good, right? To trust yourself, don't trust AI and trust it only. To get better responses, give it a lot of data. But yeah, there's an outline for the article. You can see this is um, tastes like water. I think really giving it your persona. I joke AI might as well stand for average information.
Yep.
It's not very specific. It's just general. General. It read the internet and came back and it's giving you the average. I'm going to do another SEO thing, and then we can move on to some other channels. This one actually worked very well for me, and it's a strong recommendation because this is a really just sustainable way to do good SEO. It's based on page edits. It's based on current rankings. So now I'm in Google Search Console. I've got All my performance here, you can see up. You don't even have to click to turn these on because when you export, it exports everything. So excluding the brand queries, I'm looking at just one page. So this is you create a filter, click new, create a filter, and then you're going to be looking at a one row report with just that page. Then go to click to queries and you can see all the phrases for which that page ranks. I'm going to do I'm going to use this AI method on an article about making social media videos. Click export. I'm giving you Google Search Console data showing the search performance of a URL. Can you analyze? Sure can. It comes back and tells me all about what it learned, the search performance of that article about social media headlines or social media videos. You're an expert SEO, highly proficient at key phrase analysis. Merge the rows and cleaning up. Merge the rows of similar queries into a single row with a representative query. As you do, combine the data for impressions and clicks, average the data for click-through rate and average position. You can see I'm trying to it's got too much data here. So I'm trying to consolidate it a little bit. Provide link to download. Whenever you tell AI to clean something up or edit a spreadsheet, it's risky to not take this step. Provide link to download, then go look at the file. Click to download it, look at it, and see I've gotten frustrated trying to use AI when I asked it to clean up the data and it took out all but 3 rows. I do an analysis on an empty spreadsheet here. So
Yeah.
provide link to download and go look at it because it won't tell you if it removed 99% of your data. It's not that
Yeah.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also like the part too where you say, "Can you analyze?" Because I find
Mm.
that whenever I give it data, I always ask that, "Tell me what you see," just generally to make sure that
Yep.
it actually understood the file.
Mhm.
Because if you upload a PDF, for example, sometimes it can read PDF, sometimes it can't, but the only way you know is if you ask it, like, what are you looking at right now?"
Yeah. Confirmed, like you're talking to it. Another question, another useful prompt I don't use up much, but I should is, do you have any questions for me? Ask
Oh,
it
that's
if
a good
it
one, I
wants
like
to
that.
talk to you. Yeah, it might have, what's the date range? Or it might come back and ask and offer things. So that last cleanup prompt gave me the link to download. I looked at it, I checked the file, but it was basically consolidating all those keywords into clusters. This is a bit of magic. I love what happens next. Here's the page for the data you've analyzed. Copy paste. Evaluate the keyword usage and frequency of the key phrases in the data set. It comes back, it does some text pre-processing, some key phrase extraction. I do know what those words mean. Evaluation. Now, suggest edits to this page that would help it rank higher by better indicating its relevance for those key phrases. Focus on recommendations for including phrases that are not on the page, but are in the data set. This is solid SEO. This makes sense. This is what we should be doing. This is basically stuff from Google's own webmaster blog. You rank for a phrase, but that phrase does not even appear on the page. Indicate relevance. This is 0% spammy. I would say this. I would give this exact same advice if a Google engineer was on in this webinar. You're telling it you're asking it to make suggestions to do on-page SEO edits based on what was missing from the copy, but in the keyword data set. I don't think I can't really poke holes in this, right? Social media streams are crowded, fast flowing, and competitive. It changed it to navigating the crowded and competitive social media video landscape. That's because social media video landscape was in the keyword data set, right? Showing up is hard, getting attention is harder. Making your own DIY social media videos visible is greater than ever. The challenge is greater than ever. That is good. Copy edits. It did not hurt. That was not, wait, let me double check. I forgot to mention this. In my prompt, I said, make suggestions that improve the flow and clarity of the content. So I am asking it to write for humans here, right? I'm not a spammer. I am absolutely not a keyword stuffing SEO. I'm obsessed with both the cheese and the mousetrap. I care about my visitor. I'm an empathetic, data-driven marketer. You get the idea. Look through these slides, try it for yourself. I honestly think that we this is just better copy. There's no downside to updating that. This should be updated. Okay. So you get the idea. On-page SEO edit recommendations based on Google Search Console data and the copy from a page. Moving on. Uh, Everyone has written a bunch of stuff if you're a content marketer, but there's things that you haven't yet written. I did a little bit of this earlier. I'm going to do a more detailed version of it now. Not a beautified slide, but what is that thing I've never written? What is that thing I've never written? If I give it again, my Google Analytics title tag report, pages and screens with the primary dimension set to page title, and give it my Google Search Console data, which is the pages report, which we saw a minute ago. Upload that, ask it to merge these two files, provide link to download. Again, it goes through and does that text pre-processing. You're an expert at content strategy. You're an SEO. You're looking for new topics. Infer topics from the titles, identify gaps using semantic systems analysis, and it comes back. And the recommendations are strong. I think these are generally good. Here I am again, finding the thing I never did. What have I almost written but never wrote? Here's the list of things that I almost wrote but never wrote. And that it's possible because I asked it for that specific type of analysis, semantic distance. So it sees the ontological relationships between these topics and sees where there is more greater space between them and identifying humans can't really do that. I don't think a brain can do that. Human brains are terrible for that. AI is very good for that.
And we also
But
have our own bias too. These are the topics that I like. And the reason why you haven't written about this topic is it isn't something that leaps to mind. So this is like taking your brain outside of yourself essentially and saying, please point out the the
yeah,
flaws in my own thinking around this topic.
and that I think is one of the best uses for AI if you're an
Mhm.
analyst is gap analysis. That's basically what I'm doing here is like AI powered gap analysis. Human brains are just not good for that. AI is great for that. Um, I'd like to jump ahead, maybe. I've got to a because we're not all SEOs here. I'm gonna take data out of LinkedIn next. I can come back and do another SEO method if anyone's interested. But I'm gonna do some LinkedIn data next, and you can see basically what is Andy doing. He's looking for export buttons and he's clicking them. And he's cleaning up the data and he's talking to it. And he's not using it to make things. He's using it to analyze things, specifically to find gaps in content, gaps in the content strategy. I uploaded a text file of the whole book. I wrote a book and I uploaded a text file and said, what are the most important topics that are not in this book? Nailed it. You didn't talk about voice search. You didn't talk about personalization. These are topics I don't really care about. You didn't talk about content marketing ethics or global content marketing. Yeah, I have no expertise in these. But it was correct. Those were definitely the topics that I missed. Gap analysis. Here we go. Social media. If you have creator mode, click on that little analytics and tools button. And now you're in LinkedIn analytics. Set a big date range and then click that export button. Sort of salivate whenever I see these export buttons. Then I'm sad when I see this. This is one of the worst tools for structured data. This is a mess. It's weird. Like column A and column E are the same. It's like, why would it do that? It's engagements over here and impressions over there. And are these even the same? It's just a giant pile. So it's Sunday morning. My kids aren't up yet. I'm going to take the time and fix this thing. And so 2 hours later, I have a lovely spreadsheet. This is actually where, and I have not mentioned efficiency or time savings at all. I don't really care about efficiency or time savings much at all. That's not why I use AI. I'm using AI to try to be a 10x marketer and to push myself up a curve of quality where the results are 100x, the second best quality, right? So if I can get insights from it, I will spend lots of time, 2 hours, no problem. Look what I did. I copied and pasted in every social media post. I gave them categories. I tagged them, publishing date, the post URL, all the social metrics. I'm not a marketer that teaches shortcuts. I'm obsessed with quality and I have very long, slow ways to do things, but it works. I strongly believe it's the 10x effort that gets 100x results. I am not very interested in using AI for efficiency. That's not my purpose. I'm using AI to produce content that is more comprehensive, more detailed, fills in a blank, plugs a hole, makes it it's surprisingly detailed to the reader, memorable. When I ask it to give me ideas, sometimes I put in that word, give me something that's memorable. Anyway, so we've got the text, the topics, the type, all the metrics. Let's upload that. You're an expert, job title, social media marketing data analyst. Build that, finding insights from data about social media posts. It's like a classic intro. I'm giving you data showing the performance of top LinkedIn posts and a personal LinkedIn account over a year, which topics get the most follower growth per engagement, per impression. It comes back and actually had no trouble with this at all. It gives me a bit of analysis, which I appreciated. And then I have a ChatGPT Plus account. That's how I've been uploading data. The other benefit of this account is that $20 a month is that we'll actually draw charts for you. Watch this one. Draw a heat map matrix showing the normalized average impressions, average engagement, average number of comments, average number of reposts, and average number of new followers for each category. It figured out the new followers based on the date. I loved that. It worked. And the data was surprising to me. This is a colored heat map matrix showing me, based on topics that I talk about on LinkedIn, the average engagements for each. Surprise. The analytics topics grow followers fast, but those people don't really engage. Web design UX, people engage, but those people don't really follow. I expected to see a correlation between engagement and follows. I did not. So it's kind of
I love this chart, by the way. Andy showed this to me just before we started the stream today, and I think that this is a fantastic use of LinkedIn because my mind immediately goes to doing something like this in Looker Studio. But this kind of heat map chart, you could maybe do it as a pivot. This actually looks better than something I could get out of Looker Studio. And I feel like, especially something that I always try to hammer home with reporting, especially if you're reporting to like your boss or your clients, is stop using tables, show visuals instead. This is a
Mhm.
fantastic way to be like, look, I know you like posting about this topic, but your goal is followers, and this isn't getting you followers. So we're going to talk about this instead. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. It's surprising insights. There's a long shot. I'm not opposed to long shot prompts, but I've done long shot prompts where it's like, find me an unexpected insight and show it using an unusual visualization method. Like just weird spider charts and like radial bar. Like it's just throw that in there. I gave you a bunch of data. Show me something unexpected, insights in an unexpected visual format, and it will just just see what happens. Doesn't take any time really. But Dana, if you like that, I want to show you another chart. I don't have the prompts that led to this, but I suspect that there are attendees that can see this and will know how to do it. On what days of week do my visitors convert? Click to call, contact form submission, newsletter sign up. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It because the date you can add date as a secondary dimension. It's a useless thing to look
Can
at as a human because it's just a bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
But if you have go to I guess it's now what probably some key events report with the date as a secondary dimension, it'd be hard to figure out the day of week based on this date code, but it did it easily.
I and I had to do something like this actually with before ChatGPT came out for hour of day to figure out if a client needed to increase their hours. And so I had to do this. I think I ended up using a tree map. It wasn't a good option by any means, for sure. And if you hear background noise, some tree shredding happening outside my house right now.
Oh,
Anyway, I live in the middle of nowhere. This is what happens. Anyway, but what I love about doing this is then you can take hour as another dimension out of your
mhm,
data in GA4, export it and be like,
yeah,
am I getting a lot of phone calls? Or if you use CallRail, am I getting a lot of phone calls outside of the hours when our business is open? Should I
mhm.
open for another hour in the mornings because those people are calling me like just before I open? This is fantastic kind of analysis for that. And it's so easy to see that like Saturday is the big day for phone calls. Hope you're open Saturday.
Another use is AJ Wilcox talks about LinkedIn ads, and he did analysis and found that nobody was clicking on the ads on Mondays. And so but no one was converting after clicking on Mondays. So he just turned the ads off on Mondays and the entire ad spend got more efficient without impacting lead gen at all. And so if you find that there's a day of week where you get clicks but no conversions from paid, that's the day of week to pause the ad group. Actually, what he said though was interesting. He said, don't pause the ads, just reduce the bid down to almost zero, because if you pause a LinkedIn ad, it takes LinkedIn a few more days to turn it back on or something. I don't know. He had some kind of hack. Smart guy. Um,
The other thing too you could also try is if you build and this would be a remarketing audience in Google Ads. I'm not 100% sure if you can be this specific with LinkedIn, but I don't think you can, but you could build a remarketing audience based on, say, an audience in GA4 saying day of week,
hmm,
only people who visited on Saturday and
mhm.
Sunday, and make a remarketing audience of just those people, for example.
Wow. I didn't know you could do that. I
Mhm.
don't know anything about paid. I've never tried paid. I'm the guy who built an $8 million agency with zero. I've never bought an ad. 55 employees, never bought an I still have not yet tried advertising. It's on the list. I'll do it eventually.
I don't recommend it. It's just you're probably fine.
Maybe I'm okay without it. If you figure out a method for these things, try that before you leave AI. Create a prompt that will work as a, so that I can repeat this method again later. So here I was, I had asked LinkedIn to like, in the end of that other method, I asked it to create some LinkedIn posts for me based on what was working. I could share those. You could see those. They're in the deck. But at the end of that, you can imagine what they were. But at the end of that method, I didn't finish without, I didn't just close the tab and AI and I'm done. I'm going to go back to LinkedIn. Instead, I say, create a prompt that will work as a style guide that I can give to ChatGPT. So the AI can effectively write future posts in that same voice, style, and tone. And it does. That idea is to, before you're done with AI, if you did something cool, ask it to give you a prompt you can use again later. Add that to your shared prompt library. Here's a screenshot of my shared prompt library. Call it the Codex. The idea is that English is the hot new programming language. These things feel like code. These prompts are like software. I write some extremely detailed prompts that do magic on the back end. And so they're saved here in this library. And then now anyone on my team can use them. It's just the approved ones. There's also beta prompts that don't yet work as well as I'd like. And there's alpha prompts that I haven't really even finished working on. But a lot of these prompts are like best practices, tiny blog posts that you combine where you're telling it everything that you use, your own standards for anything, headlines, quick calls to action, articles, emails. Okay, Dana, I'm
Before
going to
we
do
jump
one
to
of
the
your
next
emails.
section, though, do you mind if we interrupt just for a second? We got a ton of
Please.
questions coming in about
Good.
different stuffs. Kim was curious, why not create a custom GPT for that prompt library? I assume is what Kim's referring to. That's when she asked the question. Have you tried
Um,
creating a custom GPT?
yep, yep, I could. And so I had noted out over Chris Penn with this, and he explained it to me after looking at the back end and seeing how the custom GPTs work. It's basically appending all those instructions to the top of every prompt. And there isn't really that big of a difference for me to go to the prompt and to grab that because I would have to prompt it anyway. But I could show you my custom GPT. I have one that can write in my style or do formatting similar to what I do. If
Mhm.
you like custom GPTs, then make one for that. I certainly could. But but if you look to the shared prompt library here, let me tab out and just show you one. So this is an example of a fast to get to the codex. Here's the persona development prompt, one of the most powerful prompts I have. I'd still have to give this information to the custom GPT, right? I'm talking to a client who
Yeah, of
happens to be
course.
in private equity, blah, blah, blah. So what's the difference? I'm just going to copy and paste this and then replace all those words. I have my custom GPT is a copy edit helper, and it is trained in a very detailed way about, um, to get it to try to write like I do. I gave it like hundreds of articles and I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how well does it do? I haven't done this yet for myself. I've thought about it. I've mostly been spending time in Descript getting it to talk like me so I can overdub words when I say things wrong, which happens a lot.
And Dana, I don't want AI to write for me. My
Mhm.
content is way too structured and formatted. If you look at like
Oh,
an
yeah.
example of the piece, these are like how to use GA4 for SEO. Okay, it can't do that. It can't do this. It can't write that. It can't make this. How much of this could AI do for me? Okay, I'm sure there's people thinking like, oh, Andy, it'll do a bunch. I could write the outline. I could do the keyword research, but it doesn't know my friends. It doesn't have
Mhm.
my it doesn't have my face. It doesn't, and these
Yep.
are extremely structured. Like I might work 20 minutes on one of these screenshots. They're detailed. Anyway,
Mhm.
choose your own adventure. I think it's a great research tool. I like to use it to validate things. I like to use it to analyze things. That's just my. But yeah, if you've gotten AI to magically write articles for you and those exceed the expectation, my standard for when I write an article is that I'm trying to make the best piece of content on the internet for that topic. I literally don't think my hope is that you could never find a better article about GA4 for SEO than that one. If you think you can get AI to meet that standard, we live in a new era. I'm very excited. that would be that would not be a bad thing, right? If it can teach things at that level, we'll see. Anyway, any other questions before I dive into email?
A bunch of people have questions about just basically how do you maintain client data anonymity? Brittany wants to know. We also had a question from Bill. How are you able to do any of this amazing analysis without inputting their proprietary GA/GSC data into ChatGPT? You do have to submit their GA4 GSC data into ChatGPT. I don't know how
Well, yeah.
proprietary that would be per se.
I mean, I don't know. This entire session is about uploading GA4 reports. That that's like, you know, the prerequisite for using any of this is that you have permission from your client or from legal, or you're using it on your own data and you're okay with it yourself. That it, all of this is based on that completely. There are ways to use AI, like there's AI for healthcare data, AI for financial data, and big companies are setting up sequestered kind of Azure server instances, which are not connected to the internet. You can unplug it from the internet. You can download LLMs from Hugging Face. You can run AI on your laptop. You can put a model, you can put Llama, Facebook's Meta's AI, on your laptop and use LM Studio as the interface, unplug it from the internet, right? You got to turn off Wi-Fi and you can use AI on your computer. There are absolutely ways to use AI. It's not ChatGPT. It's not as good as GPT-4. No, there's lots of AIs around the world that are use sensitive data and personally identifiable data, like inside Amazon and Netflix and everywhere. But no, for this method here, I'm just using OpenAI.
Well, and I don't know too if GA4 data is actually that proprietary as well. It's yeah, you may not wanna know like, on the internet which post is most popular, which post has the most views, but again, it's not necessarily that much of a secret, especially, like, if you look at any tool, the comparison tools or things like that, like, people are already making guesses on your data, you're not really hiding anything.
Yeah, what is my risk? Here, watch this one. I want to get, I want to turn email, I want to combine email marketing data with GA4 data. And I can do that kind of with some UTM tracking codes. What I really want is one united report that shows in one report delivery all the way to conversion. Okay, I'm going to go to Active Campaign. I'm going to download that. There's a bunch of data in here. I know exactly what I'm downloading. I'm going to upload that. I'm giving you analytics. I'm giving you Active Campaign data. I'm going to my campaign report, right? Session campaign dates filtered just to show email campaigns, big date range. Let's export that. Uploading that now. Okay. It's got both my email, my ESP data and my GA4 data. Combine these data sets, merge them, combining session campaign and campaign name into one column, inferring which campaigns were which based on names and dates. So fast. Just think how hard that would be to do. It did it on the first try. GA4
Yeah, and if
ESP.
you did this in Looker Studio, like, you would the part that's important about the AI is the inferring, because what you get is the campaign name out of your ESP, and what you end up with the campaign name in GA4 may not match exactly. You might end up with, like,
Yep.
underscores or weird spaces and stuff like that. This really helps bridge that gap.
Yeah. It just figured it out. It's missing some stuff, but close enough. What insights can you gather? Trying overall insights. Got some ideas. What can you tell me about these? Oh, here's that prompt. Make a chart using an unusual visualization method to show unexpected insights. How would Leonardo da Vinci visualize this data? Show your thinking. It made like the Vitruvian Man, like it was like a spider chart with radial arms. Funny. Then I had it categorize them into marketing topics, which it did. It can actually categorize them. I think I get mixed results there. Sometimes I just want to give it my blog categories. That takes extra time, of course, to append that. But it shows me here. These are the benchmark performance by topic for every email that I send. And then it comes up with ideas. These things have higher engagement. This is a mix of email service, like inbox performance with website performance. And this is the chart. Every topic, I talk about it in every email I send. Open rate, click through rate, unsubscribe rate, GA4 engagement rate, session conversion rate, average engagement time in one chart. I don't think most marketers have ever seen that. I'd never seen that. You'd have to, hard to build that chart, right?
Oh,
You
yeah,
can
and
see it.
especially too, if you have an e-commerce website, you could pull in purchase data, like, just really full funnel stuff.
Yeah. And here you can see analytics content does better on the site, but the content marketing topics do better in the inbox. There you go. I did not expect to see that. And then the subsequent prompts would be like suggest adjustments that would make this perform better. What types of campaigns should I send more? What types of campaigns should I send less? Suggest changes that would improve the efficiency. Based on the data, write 5 subject lines for future performance. This is actually interesting. What open click-through user engagement and conversion rates would you expect from this subject line? Again, like a human just wouldn't even want to answer that. They're just no one's going to even try. No one would dare find your best email and website engagement pro and say, "Hey, here's the subject line. Tell me what
And the
kind of
important thing too
engagement."
is to ask this question. Make sure to ask this question as well in the chat that you already have. Don't start a new chat because it's not gonna
Right.
reference the data that you have in the other one, so you have to continue this as a conversation.
Yep, yep. I'm still going. I'm still. Every one of these is a method. I don't know what else to call it. I'm calling them AI methods, techniques, and they are multiple. It's a long conversation. It's really hard and weird to teach this stuff, except by making these like super tall screenshots, right? I apologize in advance. This deck is like enormous because there's tons of really tall scrolling screenshots. They're painstakingly animated little call out boxes. So you get the idea. It actually predicted the performance of that subject line. Just briefly highlighting a few more things. This is the timing of campaigns. Again, date. I never had a use for this dimension. There you go, right? There's too much noise in there because that campaign might get clicked on anytime over several different days. It's like a giant merging job anyway. But when I give it to it, I say, I'm giving you campaign data. Can you analyze? You should draw 2 charts, one showing correlations by month, one showing correlations by day of week. Normalize the data. You might need to do this. Normalize the data. It flattens things out a bit more until you can get more meaningful insights. This is not great because there really aren't any emails sent on Saturdays. So keep that in mind. It doesn't point out to me that there's no data for Saturdays. It just shows almost zero engagement rates on Saturdays. It's because I'm not sending the data at that time. But what I do get in the end is I asked it for a chart. I asked it for insights, and it comes back with day of week timing, email timing insights, which are hard to get otherwise. We might have time for another one if you'd like me to just do it, or should we take a
Let's see.
breather?
Yeah, I'm just checking to see if we have any questions here. So Kim asked earlier on, have you compared the gap analysis that you did with any of the tools like SEMrush to see how good it is?
SEMrush is a keyword gap analysis tool, but that's comparing keywords across multiple domains, you and your competitors. For me, the gap analysis is just a general topic in AI that I use to analyze any asset, including like a homepage. If you upload an ICP or persona to AI and then upload a full page screenshot of your homepage and just say what's missing, what extent does this page meet or not meet the information needs of my persona, it'll tell you. The keyword gap thing in SEMrush is like just a really specific report that compares your rankings to your competitors' rankings. I don't think AI would be helpful for that. I would trust SEMrush generally. It has all the data about that. What's nice about Google Search Console data is it's the actual performance in search for
Well,
everything.
for the most part, actual.
Well, it's
The bit
average
Google's gonna give
positions, not
us.
rankings. Yeah, average positioning, canonicalization, blah, blah, blah. But SEMrush only has data for the keywords that it injected into Google, not all of them. It's just that they pay to get access to this API and like flood Google with keyword data back. They don't use every possible phrase. They have an algorithm and an AI internally to figure out what to throw in there. But you'll see things. If you check the ranking performance of a URL in SEMrush or Ahrefs and compare it to Google Search Console, will have way, way more data. Um, that's for good reason. They may be meaningless, many of them, unimportant key phrases, but it has a larger data set. Here, this one I think I'm glad that we got into this because I think this is an extremely valuable report. Very few content marketers know which of their articles triggers visitors to subscribe. In other words, just raise your hand if you know the conversion rate from visitor to subscriber for every one of your articles. No one raises their hand, right? Um, there's different ways to do this. The way I'm going to do this is uses the article itself as the page referrer, and the conversion is the visit to the email setup thank you page, which is possible for me because I have a sticky footer on every article. But this article is the referrer to the thank you page. So here's the method. I've got all of my page locations, right? And I'm going to update this to show just a little bit of data. I don't really need that much, just sessions, users, conversions. I'm not looking for we don't need the rest for this. Really just try to figure out conversion rates. All I need is the number of views on the page, on the article, and the conversion rates when that article was, or the total conversion when that article was the referrer. So now I'm going to add a filter. That filter is just going to show me the blog posts. I'm going to export that. And that export has the page views to every blog post. Okay. We need another report though. Now I'm going to go to the thank you page. This is page path just filtered just to show the thank you page. Much easier. You might need Dana's help if your site doesn't work this way. Much easier if every key event, we'll call
Because I
it.
do actually have a video that I did in the practical GA4 course on Kickpoint Playbook where I actually go through what to do if you don't have /blog. It involves Screaming Frog. It involves a little bit of crawling, but it's the step-by-step how to do it. If you don't have a / whatever, it's tough for sure to do this.
Just call Dana or sign up for the course. I don't do that. I get help from Amanda. I have a Dana. Amanda helps me with that. If you're building a site, just your goal in life is to just have a page view on a URL for conversions, if at all possible. Anyway, okay. So now I have just a 1-row report, kind of weird, but it actually is useful if I append to that add a secondary dimension for page referrer. There are the blog posts, right? So now I have the page refers when they sent visitors to that thank you page. I'm going to export that. Again, clean up these rows. There's some meaningless ones in here that I don't need at all. Get the idea. I'm giving you GA data about blog post traffic. Can you analyze? Yes. I'm giving you data about conversions from that same blog. Can you access? Yes, I can. I should have said merge. Merge the data from those 2 files into 1 file as you would do for a VLOOKUP. So each row is a URL and the sessions and conversions are shown for each, which it does. Click to download. There it is. Conversions, traffic. I should have chosen a longer date range. There's another, you can do the cleanup prompts for this too. Filter out anomalies, remove rows that don't contain the word blog if that was a problem. But here's the response. Draw a bar chart showing the conversion rate for every one of your blog posts. It calculated correctly. That is the conversion rate from visitor to subscriber for every blog post on my blog. Now you know exactly which articles to put in heavy social rotation, which articles to put featured on your homepage, which articles to link to from your high traffic articles, which articles to send again as a newsletter, which articles to reference from a guest post on someone else, which articles to talk about on a podcast so they go on the show notes, anything, anywhere, all of them. These are the mousetraps. You found them. This is it. There's your data. That's what you needed. This changes a lot in my experience, and you should probably keep repeating this exercise. But it's certainly way better than the old days when I tried to do this on a spreadsheet with a VLOOKUP. It was horrible. Just terrible at that. I literally tried to do this before many times, right? With this crazy conversions, page views, conversion rate per post, not fun. But AI makes it much simpler. It's a big help.
And see what I would also do, my brain is going further on what to do with this. I would use, depending upon what you're using for form fills, I can think of a way to do this in Gravity Forms, for example. You can create a
Mm,
hidden form where the
mm.
refer would actually be pushed into that field or pushed into the field on the form when people submit it. And then when that goes off to campaign or whatever you end up using, you can include the page that people were on. And then you could pull the data from your ESP and say, here's a list of the pages in terms of conversion rate. Now pull a list of subscribers based on the pages they signed up on. Which of these pages are driving the most engaged subscribers as well?
You were going to do amazing thing. This was every one of these things you saw. You're like, yep, +1. Yep, +1. You're going to go farther
It's
with this than I did. And I'm excited for that. So it's really great to collaborate with you on a program like this because just introducing the general idea of merging different sources of data quickly, inferring from topics, semantic distance analysis, finding gap, quickly looking for correlations, just anytime you see an export button. This hopefully for all of us a little bit expanded our perception of what's possible with AI and becomes maybe just a mini new era for those of us that are analysts and think that want to do more than just brainstorm 10 topics or write a draft for this article. AI is
Yep.
way better than that.
Oh, yeah. You have this incredible tool, like use it to its full potential for sure. We just got a question from, unfortunately, I can't see the name here because I'm using StreamYard, but LinkedIn user says, have you ever uploaded SEMrush keyword analysis for 2 competitors to see if it can analyze which is performing better or worse and which keywords are most valuable?
I have. I have uploaded SEMrush data is a nice, clean, structured data export. It's one of those that I'm impressed by. I haven't done that specific one though. Keyword analysis for 2 competitors to see which is performing better or worse. Um, I'll give you a prompt that isn't related to uploading data, but that can do but may get you part of the way there even faster. The prompt sounds like this. What articles in my industry are least likely to be covered by the big blogs? And it will tell you. What counter narrative opinions are least likely to be discussed by thought leaders in my category? It will tell you. So yeah, you could choose specific competitors and try to do analysis on what's missing from their specific articles. But your readers are not just reading your site and their site. Do analysis on your industry. Look at the vertical. Ask AI to evaluate the vertical and tell you what counter competitive topics are missed. It will tell you.
Yeah, I love that idea for sure. And especially if you do any PR responses, like if talking to, say, help a reporter out is dead, but there's featured.com or quoted or help a B2B reporter.
These
That can also help you. Obviously, don't submit an AI response. Reporters hate it. And there's this AI voice. They know you're not fooling anyone. They want something is AI written. But certainly you can use that to think of different perspectives if you're feeling a little bit stuck, but you know that you want to be able to respond to this question. There's one more from Ray Lore who asks, I'm so convinced engagement, more of a comment. I'm so convinced engagement followers are disconnected now for a couple of years, no social media. Glad you confirmed it with your data. Absolutely. I think that is so interesting where it's interesting that analytics people will follow, but they don't want to talk about it. It's just, I think it mirrors like the kinds of people who are attracted to each industry as well. I usually don't comment on stuff, but I'll follow people based on interesting posts for sure.
Yeah, the follow is worth 10x. Like the people,
Mhm.
fascinating, like why people like stuff. I want to support her, him, or I like this. People like stuff without reading or clicking or hardly slowing down the stream. It's not very meaningful. But the follow, the subscribe, those middle of funnel actions, really valuable to know. What are the things you talk about that make people compelled enough to move the million miles from the mouse to the keyboard and type their address?
Mhm.
Big moment of trust. And if you could, there's probably 5 of them that have 100 times the conversion rates and impact on list growth for your content program than the rest.
Very last question is, have you tried BigQuery GA4 data? I think the answer is no, you haven't yet.
Mm-mm. Did
I
I?
also have not
Yeah.
yet. I want to. Yeah.
Um,
The problem with BigQuery GA4, if people have tried it, is that it's nested. So if you think of a database, you think it would be like an Excel where you've got your rows and columns of data. GA4 and BigQuery is not like that at all. There's little tables inside each of the cells, and it's a little
mm,
frustrating to work with for sure. So if it's your first introduction to BigQuery, I'm very sorry. I don't know why they made it so complex. If you are going to try using BigQuery for this analysis, I would start with Google Search Console. The data is way more it's got a lot simpler structure than what we have for GA4 for sure.
yeah. And this is a counter narrative point of view, but every number in analytics is inaccurate. They're all wrong. Every number is wrong. So what? I don't need tons of data or perfectly accurate data because I'm only looking for clues. I only want data that's accurate insofar as I can make a decision and take an action from it. I don't do that much reporting for its own sake. I'm not looking for ever more perfect data sets. I just want the clue and get the insight and take a quick action
Mm,
and then see if it worked and keep marketing.
yep. Thank you so much for this. This was incredible. So we mentioned a few times, yes, the slides will be made available. Yes, we're going to email you a resource. You just need to make sure that if you are attending and you have not yet clicked that register link and we don't have your email information, make sure to do that so that we can send you some information. And before we end things off today, I wanted to announce our next webinar, which is going to be on Tuesday, May 21st, and it's going to be with a special guest of me. So I'm going to be doing a ask me anything related to analytics. You can ask me about like my house and stuff if you want, but I'm going to be answering questions about analytics. Any question at all relating to analytics. If you have sad GA4 questions, if you can't figure out how to do something in Google Tag Manager, if you don't know why people aren't looking at your reports in Looker Studio, bring all of your questions. I will get to as many of them as I can. You can sign up for that right now on the Kickpoint Playbook LinkedIn page. Make sure to leave your questions in advance. More likely to get to them if you ask in advance. Also, please watch your email for a special discount on our Kickpoint Playbook courses, which includes Practical GA4, which is everything you need to know in GA4, including, as I mentioned, how to analyze blog post content if you don't have /blog or /something at the beginning of your blog post URLs. We're also going to send the replay and a resource from Andy with all the AI prompts that he covered today. So thank you so much, Andy, for joining us. This was amazing. Brain is very full. Our Slack at my office is full of people talking about interesting questions and other stuff that they want to try. And thanks everyone for attending, and we'll see you back here on May 21st. Have a
Yep,
great day.
and LinkedIn.
Oh,
Find me on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Connect with me everyone is welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always there. Happy to help if I can.
Oh,
Thank
and
you, Dana.
Andy has a fantastic LinkedIn newsletter too. If you have not
Mm,
checked out his LinkedIn newsletter, make sure to sign up to it. It's great. I really appreciate the stuff that he shares. So,
Thank you for
thanks
that.
again.
It's weekly. Thank you. Thanks, Dana. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.